At Wrexham Football Club. Last season he lent them Eddie Ouds, his reserve team centre-half, who helped Wrexham pull away from the threat of non-league football. He's not found much sympathy on the national back pages recently. In the local programme notes, Wrexham offer him their heartfelt thanks. The Wrexham manager Brian Flynn holds Colin Harvey in the very highest regard. When his side was struggling last season, he turned to Harvey for advice.
When I took over in November, I was fortunate. I spoke to Colin Harvey. I was picking his brains, really. Colin's been an enormous help to me. On the managerial side, you know, I've asked him for advice and he's been more than forthcoming with help.
Harvey and Everton had to reacquaint themselves with faces they thought they'd seen the last of. Flynn genuinely believed, though, his side had a cup fighter's chance. Almost 10,000 Wrexham fans believed it too. For Everton, MacDonald was in for Milligan, Cottee in for Newell. The Harvey switch took 90 seconds to click on. Cottee only found out he was playing an hour before the kick-off. He was starting his first game of the season and was off to a flyer. He and Everton looked very sharp early on. Graham Sharp's touch and hard work deserved a goal. Vince O'Keefe with a touch of the Neville Southalls. Wrexham were making Everton hurry in the first half, chasing them, but they couldn't catch Cottee, who's in a hurry to catch up on lost time. Only Neville Southall stood between Wrexham and a hatful of goals themselves. By half-time, they must have been thinking it wasn't going to be their night. Colin Harvey was thinking it was going to be his, but Brian Flynn remained defiant. What did you say at half-time?
I just said, same again, lads, they're doing it. Us proud, they're doing the club proud, they're doing everybody proud.
Is there a danger 2-0 down, it could go to pieces now?
No, far from it. I believe if we get one goal, we've got a good chance in this game.
But a goal just wouldn't come. Alan Kennedy's rolling back his Liverpool years at Wrexham without the same reward. Transfer requests, half-time sit-downs aside, Everton without Neville Southall would be like George Foreman without a right hand. Brian Flynn used to be a friend of his when they played for Wales. All Flynn could do was reflect on what might have been. Everton cleaned up with 3 more neatly taken goals. After Tony Cottee had completed his hat-trick, they began to share them about. Neil MacDonald's deliberate side foot, deliberately placed, 4-0. Andy Hinchcliffe's left foot dealt crosses for 2 of the goals. Pat Nevin had to do a little more work than Tony Cottee, though, but with the same result. 5-0 looked convincing enough, and Colin Harvey responded to the warm reception. Tony Cottee...
Everton turned the corner after winning at Wrexham 2 weeks ago, disposing of Southampton. They then ran into a cul-de-sac at Nottingham Forest on Sunday. But they were running well and passing well last night. Hinchcliffe to Sharp, the first of 3 for Sharp, the first of 6 for Everton. Well, by their own admission, Wrexham were pretty miserable. Losing possession and leaving gaps is a disastrous combination at the best of times. Neil MacDonald revelling in his new role in the centre of midfield, feeding Sharp. Everton's rather muted celebrations tell their own story. It's all rather academic at this point, 7-0 on aggregate. MacDonald's beautifully weighted first-time ball to Cottee, his 4th goal of the tie. Now, MacDonald provided Everton's silver lining at Forest with a 30-yarder. His 3rd in 4 games was just as spectacular for its subtlety. Sharp doing what he does better than most. MacDonald's finish was exquisite. A crowd of only 7,000 at Goodison last night witnessed, in Colin Harvey's words, a very professional performance. Everton still going forward relentlessly, still competitive. John Ebbrell forcing his way through, but did the whole of the ball cross the line? Quite honestly, it didn't really matter. What did matter was the unfortunate injury to Mike Milligan. It was the only cloud on Everton's silver lining. Milligan and Wrexham's John Bowden tying themselves up in knots. It was nothing more sinister than that. But certainly little has gone right for the former Oldham captain since he joined Everton. Well, before it was all over, leaving Wrexham to contemplate their next brush with classier opposition, Manchester United in the European Cup Winners' Cup, Sharp finished the night as he started it, 11-0 on aggregate.